All right, so we're at Radio Pulsar here. My name's Leanne Bloom, and I'm with Jean, also known as the Rev, or Prophecies of Jack, right?
So yeah, Prophecies of Jack is more like, what the Rev preaches. So it's like the name of my radio show, or if I decided to release music, it would be the name of the label, Yeah.
But your DJ name, you go by the Rev.
The Rev.
So, okay. Cool. And then, but your Twitch handle is
Prophecies of Jack.
There we go. That's it. So, what do you prefer to be called?
Call me Gene for this.
Yeah.
Go with that.
Yeah, we'll go with that. So, Gene, when did you become first interested in music, and how did that?
I think it started like super early. I was like maybe 3. I got my first record player, and I was waking up my parents at 6 a.m. playing records. So when I became a teenager, and then I was out in the morning till 6 listening to records. So it was a natural progression. So like very early on, I had these headphones strapped to me. I like loved my first Sony, and I think I wouldn't say that the early records I was listening to are necessarily worth noting, but just early on I was very, very into music and just obsessed.
Right. And how did that transition from a listener to being a DJ?
Well, I also, when I was like 9, when it came time to like maybe learn an instrument, I tried violin at first, and then, then we got to play with woodwinds. And so I picked up the saxophone. So I was in school bands, marching band and all that stuff. And then my sophomore year, I was about 16. So this was probably like 96, 97. I fell in love with electronic music. I got hooked. First started listening to stuff, downloading stuff on the computer through BBS's like track tunes through the demo scene. So that kind of like started the electronic wave. And then I started listening to MTV Amp. And then I heard Underworld's Juanita, Kiteless to Dream of Love in the backseat of a car. Like I'll always remember that moment. And I was just like stood up. I was like, what is this music? I need to borrow that tape. I listened to it for like 4 days straight. And I after that, I was in Sam Goody every week buying every electronic CD, and I wanted to try to make the music, but, back then, like to try and like perform live cost a lot of money. So I was like, let me get a pair of decks, started buying records. I was in the East Coast. So, I started shopping at Sonic Groove, like Frankie Bones. And then I went to school at NYU. And basically, I chose my college based on the record stores. I was like, well, I was also going to study music. I studied music technology, and I was like, I went to Ohio. I was like, okay, this record store is cool, but like, I went to New York, and I'm like in the record store with Frankie Bones, being Frankie Bones, total like cartoon character. So
Legend.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And so how has live streaming affected your DJing and your well-being during this kind of crazy pandemic that we're in right now?
Well, I think for me, it's opened up DJing back up for me. I feel like actually, I feel more alive as a DJ than I have in years. I started 20 years ago, and when I first started, it was all I could do. And I think as I got older as a DJ, and it became less about just playing for myself, you get more gigs and you start honing around that. You start tailoring to crowds. And now that it's like live streaming, I don't always see the crowd. So I have to go back to my own instincts and back to my own feel. And once you're live, there's that pressure of like, well, you're still performing. And so it's opened things up. I mean, it helped that it coincided like a few weeks before this. I bought a new controller. I bought the Pioneer DDJ SX used. So I went from doing like a hacked MIDI controller to like a proper setup. So that also helped me connect with Rekordbox even more. But like, I think just having it now, I told myself every Saturday I'm live streaming from 12 to 3, whether I have it in me or not. And I feel like that's opened up a whole new thing. And now I have friends that are tuning in regularly, and
Mm.
you know, I have an old college friend that I used to DJ with who like tunes in, gives me feedback, and it's like allowed me to kind of reconnect with him in a way. And you know, I'm always shocked at who is tuning in, or like, because I do the Facebook with the Twitch, and so there's some friends on Facebook. I was like, I didn't even think they'd be into this shit,
Mhm.
you know. And then they're like, you know, so it's been a really good outlet for me.
Mhm. That's great. So do you see yourself doing it post shelter in
Oh
place?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no question. Like, you know, I'm like, that's why I have a radio show name. I'm gonna
What
go with it.
what is it?
Prophecies Jack.
Uh-huh.
Prophecies of Jack. Preaching every Saturday. You know.
Oh, I love it.
You know, and you know, like well, I'm almost converted to Judaism, so like Saturday is like Shabbat, so it's almost like a perfect, you
Absolutely.
know,
Absolutely.
thing to do
Listening to
on
Nurse
that.
Noise in the treatment show, by the way.
What's
At
that?
at the treatment show, which is my radio
Hmm.
show. That was
Yeah,
kind of a similar thing.
yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So you'll continue doing that. And so how does it what motivates you to get better at live streaming?
Um, well, first of all, I'm just a perfectionist to begin with. Like,
Mhm.
I'm always my own worst critic. So if I'm doing anything, I always want to make sure I'm doing it well. And you know, the other thing is, you know, I set it up, I record, I use a recorder so that I don't have to worry about because I'm doing everything through the same machine. I'm streaming through the same machine I'm DJing in. So it's like if I try to record on there, I've already ran into some problems where I was trying to do too much on it and it was affecting the stream. So I've had to peel back on like I was using the phone camera above on this, and it was causing too many glitches. And I was like, all right, kill that camera.
Mhm.
But I think, you know, I listen to the recordings and I want to be able to record and put that out in the world. And then once I know it's up on SoundCloud, and you know, I've always hung around, you know, I work for a techno label. I have a lot of friends and I follow a lot of people that are like at this level. And so I want to strive to be professional. Like, not that I want to make any money off this. There's no money in techno, but you know, there's just that drive to for excellence. I just want to make sure I have a good stream, and you know.
Mhm. Yeah. So what's been unique for you about live streaming versus DJing at a club? You mentioned some of the things around just getting more into the music and trusting your instincts there. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's no crowd to follow, you know. So you know, yeah, you can see people on Zoom, but like they're on a delay. You know, it's like it's almost like trying to beat match off the echo off the back of a warehouse. Like you can't really see what, you know. You can maybe catch that vibe, and you see the people, so you can get at least a positive feedback. But there's no direct like connection where you're like, okay, what vibe are they feeling? So it all has to come with like, what energy am I doing? And it also helps like, I have a big monitor that I have my record box on. Like, I would never be able to have like a massive monitor where I can go through record box and use all the little tips and cues and comments and things like that that record box
Mm.
allows you to put on tracks to kind of better like be like, oh, what's the next track? So it's like all just a very nice cozy setup that I don't think I'd ever be able to have at like an actual gig.
Mhm.
So it's nice that way.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
Do you think about the art that goes into your live stream, like the look of your
Yeah. So you know, I basically, in doing this, I've always had the Prophecies of Jack as sort of a brand, but now I'm like really starting to flesh out what that brand is. So like, you know, I put this big text in there, and it's very much this like ancient middle age font. As you know, now that I had to kill one of the cameras, I'm like, all right, now I gotta like maybe up and add this in there. And I was like looking up little like medieval like flourishes, so I can go all in on this sort of like ancient prophecy like theme, but it's still like house music, you know, because it all comes from that idea. You know, in the beginning there was Jack, and Jack had a groove. You know, that's the original
oh,
prophecy of Jack. You know,
right.
um, so you know, it's just like I'm really getting into that like branding aspect. I don't know if I'm gonna do like any like flashy like animations and stuff. A lot of that actually just because I want to make sure that the sound quality
Mhm.
remains pristine. And if I put too much CPU load, then
Mhm. Right.
yeah.
How long did it take you to get set up?
I was pretty quick.
Mhm.
I felt like within the first week, I was up and running. I felt like I was on the early wave, and I was actually going live a lot. And then all of a sudden, everyone was streaming, and I was just like, "Oh, okay, maybe I need to take a step back." And that's when I was like, "All right, I'm just going to do it once a week here," because I was just started going live
Mhm.
almost right away because I didn't know what else to do with myself.
Mhm. Yeah. Would you recommend it to others?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, it if you're a DJ, like, I would, do it. Why not? I mean, what else especially shelter in place, what else are you doing?
Mhm. Yeah. And so where do you see live streaming going from here? What kind of innovation
Yeah.
do you see in this platform?
I mean, I think what would be interesting, one of the innovations I think would be really cool, because the participating, there's the DJ, right? There's that aspect, but the aspect that's really missing with virtual events is how do I connect to other people that are also consuming this and chat.
Mm,
It's a little bit there, but we're on video right now. I think the real next step is not a breakout room, but like entering a side conversation. How do I enter, like, see someone else, and you and me can now go into an individual chat and connect, kind of in the way that when you're at a club, you're dancing, and then all of a sudden you step aside and you have a chat and you can connect. I think that's going to be,
mhm,
um, that'll help us move away into like this virtual thing. And I think also, I don't think, first of all, I don't think like regular club events, who knows when they're going to come back, even if, but I think it'll be interesting to see how they're really, like Facebook is charging for it now. Mixcloud has its thing. I think they're going to be much more like official events. There's going to continue to be like the pirate radio of it.
mm,
I'm, I'm really fascinated by it, honestly.
mm, mhm. Yeah, we'll see where it goes from here. Well, so great. Any last words you want to share with us?
Um, no, just tune in Saturdays, twitch.tv/prophecies of Jack every Saturday, 12 to 3 Pacific. And thanks for organizing this, and all you've done to organize the other streams. This has been a great way to continue to stay connected and express ourselves.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much.